Don't you have billions of dollars you could literally go do anything with? If you're not going to solve the world's issues with your massive wealth and fortune, please get off the internet. On January 20th, 2025, Elon Musk stood beside Donald Trump on the Inauguration platform in Washington, D.C., a sea of red hats and roaring applause below. As the former and now, once again, president took the oath of office, Musk stepped up to the mic for a brief, heavily choreographed appearance. His remarks were short and cryptic. Quote, "My heart goes out to you. The future of civilization is assured," unquote. He then placed a closed fist to his chest and extended his arm outward in a gesture that instantly triggered flashbulbs, video loops, and a storm of outrage. For many observers, it looked too familiar. A chest thump followed by a modified forward salute. Not quite a Nazi gesture in form, technically. The palm was downward, not upward, but close enough to provoke a furious debate. Within minutes, social media lit up with side by side comparisons to fascist symbolism. Historians, body language experts, and journalists all weighed in. Hashtags like hashtag Hail Musk, hashtag technofascism, and hashtag Banana Republic Billionaire began trending across platforms, even on Musk's own platform, X. The fallout was immediate. Protests erupted in over a dozen U.S. states by the following weekend, with demonstrators accusing Musk of embracing authoritarianism and helping normalize far-right imagery under the guise of efficiency. A banner hoisted over downtown San Francisco read, "Elon is an Iron Man, he's Palpatine in Gucci." At the University of Pennsylvania, Musk's alma mater, a faculty letter called for revoking his honorary degrees. In Berlin and Paris, climate activists projected Musk's face on public buildings with digital graffiti reading, quote, "He sold us the future, then took it back," unquote. And Musk, unsurprisingly, mocked the outrage. He posted an X poll, "Was that a fascist salute or just my heart overflowing with liberty?" Options A, chill out, B, Heil yes, C, both. Just wow. Over 2 million users responded. He later tweeted, quote, "The everyone is Hitler smear is peak NPC behavior." Yet behind the snark, pressure mounted. The Anti-Defamation League condemned the gesture as reckless, warning that even ironic fascist imagery can embolden extremists. A leaked internal DHS memo revealed concern that Musk's salute was already being co-opted by white nationalist groups, one of which had added his gesture to their visual iconography within days. And the White House, of course, downplayed it. Trump's press team said Musk was expressing devotion to American innovation, while President Trump himself shrugged it off. "Elon's a showman, a great guy, would never do anything wrong. He's got too much to lose." I was trying to do a Donald Trump impersonation and then I gave up in the middle of it, so I'm sorry. But critics were not buying it, and honestly, neither am I. So today, we are going to get into all things Elon Musk. And it's one of those things where you're like, buckle up and get ready, but also we're all about to be severely disappointed because this guy could have been Batman and he ended up being whoever the opposite of Batman is. I don't know enough comic books to really know, but we are going to get into it. So sit back, relax, and take a deep breath. It's time to let the fresh air in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Erin, and I am fascinated by all things cults, true crime, and unique spiritual practices. I post a couple videos every single week on my channel, so if you're into this sort of thing, I would absolutely love to have you here. Today, and I guess more recently this month, I've also been featuring some just generally problematic people or people I find problematic. And Elon Musk has continuously come up in comments. I keep getting suggestions. I keep seeing people being like, we're waiting for the Elon deep dive. So here it is for you guys. Before I jump in, I want to say this is all research done by publicly available information that I've compiled together and created my own opinion based off of the information that I have accumulated. So, for legal purposes, a lot of this is my opinion. It's all derived from publicly sourced information, but you can do your own research if you want to get into it a little bit more. I have looked into this topic extensively. I really liked Elon. I thought what he was doing for the environment was awesome back in the day. I was like, yeah, I want a Tesla. And now, like, when I see a Tesla, I get like viscerally angry. So, yeah, this is all my opinion, and a lot of it's alleged, but it's all been sourced by publicly available information. So, do with that what you will, okay? And get cozy. Something about spring and the weather changing, and it's like indoor facilities, including my own home, can never get the temperature right. So I actually have like a blanket today that I'm like cozying up under. I am utterly freezing, and I have a little tea. So just get cozy, because this is gonna be a long one. But y'all said you liked long ones. So without further ado, I'll stop my yapping and we will jump right into it. And we are going to start at the very beginning. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His mother, May Musk, was a Canadian born model and dietitian, and his father, Errol Musk, an electromechanical engineer involved in ventures from construction to emerald trading. The family was relatively wealthy during Elon's youth, though later accounts of an alleged emerald mine fortune have been disputed by his father. But I don't know. I've seen some of these interviews his parents have done, and they are, in my opinion, seems like they're hiding some stuff. So when Elon was about 9, his parents divorced, and he chose to live with his father. But this would be a decision that he would later regret because he became estranged from his father in adulthood. By his own account, Elon's childhood was difficult. He was a quiet, bookish boy with big dreams, but also a frequent target of school bullies. In one infamous incident, classmates threw him down a concrete stairway and beat him so badly that he was hospitalized. Musk recalled coming home from the hospital only to be berated further by his father for getting into a fight. But this is also a characterization that Errol Musk has denied. This turbulent upbringing under the fading shadow of apartheid era South Africa forged in Elon a mix of resilience and rebelliousness that would later define his public persona. For a time. Despite the chaos around him, young Elon found refuge in books and technology. He devoured science fiction and fantasy novels. The Lord of the Ring, Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy were among his favorites. These stories instilled in him an early sense of grand ambition, the idea that one determined individual could change the world or even conquer new ones. By the age of 10, he had taught himself computer programming from a manual for the Commodore VIC-20, and at 12, he sold a homemade video game called Blaster to a PC magazine for $500. Such precocious talent came paired with a streak of entrepreneurial moxie. Former classmates recall Musk daydreaming about space travel and inventions, even as he endured sometimes vicious harassment at school. Elon's formative years coincided with South Africa's late apartheid tumult. He attended Pretoria Boys High School, an elite institution that by the 1980s was gradually becoming more integrated and liberal. It admitted its first Black student in 1981. I mean, can you imagine? I was born in 89. Oh gosh, can't even believe I just told you guys that. Only 9 years before I was born was the first Black student admitted in post-apartheid era South Africa. It feels so recent to me. Like, I know it was a long time ago, but I'm like, really? That was only 9 years before I was born. Musk has said that he hated the apartheid system and he did not want to serve in the South African military, which was at the time enforced institutionalized racism. At 17, looking for a way out, he seized on his mother's Canadian citizenship as his ticket to leave. He applied for a Canadian passport to avoid the mandatory military service waiting for him after high school. Service that would have meant enforcing apartheid laws that he, at the time anyways, morally opposed. While waiting for the paperwork, Musk briefly enrolled at the University of Pretoria to bide his time. In June 1989, with minimal warfare and a head full of dreams, he left South Africa for Canada, carrying a few bags and an abundance of ambition. Elon's first stop in North America was not Silicon Valley or New York City, but the plains of Saskatchewan, Canada. Arriving with little money, the 18-year-old reconnected with Canadian relatives and took on a series of odd jobs. He cleaned out grain silos on a cousin's farm and cut logs at a lumber mill, earning just enough to get by. The manual labor was grueling, but Musk has credited this period with toughening him up and grounding his work ethic. By 1990, he had enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario. And there, in a college environment, Musk began to come into his own socially. He met Justine Wilson, an aspiring writer who would later become his first wife, and spent time honing in his interests in physics and business. Ever the hustler, Musk reputedly hosted large, ticketed house parties to help pay his rent and his tuition, turning his residence into a makeshift nightclub on the weekends. You know who else did this? Diddy. So, just throwing that out there. So, after 2 years at Queen's, Musk set his sights on the United States. He transferred to the University of Pennsylvania on a scholarship, drawn by the school's mix of Ivy League prestige and entrepreneurial opportunities. From 1992 to 1995, he pursued a dual degree, a Bachelor of Science in Economics from the Wharton School and a Bachelor of Arts in Physics. Beyond the classroom, Musk continued to show early flashes of the vision and intensity that would later define him. Along with a classmate, he wrote a business plan for an electronic book scanning service, years before Google Books would tackle a similar idea. Summers saw him heading west to Silicon Valley, where he landed internships at emerging tech companies. In 1994, he worked at Pinnacle Research Institute on ultracapacitors for energy storage and at Rocket Science Games, a startup in Palo Alto. These stints offered Musk a first taste of California's tech scene and perhaps a realization that his future lay in building companies of his own. Armed with Penn degrees by 1995, the formal diplomas came 2 years late due to administrative timing. Musk was actually accepted for a PhD program in materials science at Stanford University. But in characteristic fashion, impatience got the better of him. It was the height of the internet boom, and opportunities for bold entrepreneurs were everywhere. Musk famously lasted only 2 days in that PhD program before dropping out to start an internet company. In hindsight, this decision, essentially choosing the World Wide Web over academia, set the course for the rest of his life. With $28,000 loaned from his father and his younger brother Kimball at his side, Elon dove headlong into his first startup within weeks of arriving in California. It was time to see what this young man, brimming with ideas, could do in the real world of business. Like many Silicon Valley origin stories, Musk's entrepreneurial journey began with a small office, a big idea, and barely any sleep. In 1995, Elon was 24, and his brother Kimball and their friend Greg Quarry found Zip2, a company aimed at bringing newspapers online by providing searchable business directories and maps. It was the dawn of the dot-com era, and the notion of a city guide on the internet was cutting edge at the time. Musk coded by night and hustled by day, living on site in their tiny Palo Alto office, which reportedly lacked even a shower. This led the Musk brothers to have to sneak into the local YMCA for hygiene. Zip2 gradually gained traction, scoring contracts to provide content for major newspapers like the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune. Ever ambitious, Elon pushed for Zip2 to expand and even sought to become its CEO. But the board, wary of the young founder's inexperience, flatly refused. Despite internal tensions, Zip2's value grew. In February of 1999, the computer maker Compaq bought Zip2 for a whopping $300 million in cash. Elon's share was a hefty $22 million for his 7% stake. So at 27 years old, he was suddenly a multi-millionaire. Flush with cash, but hardly content, Musk rolled almost half of his Zip2 windfall into a new venture that very same year. In March 1999, he co-founded X.com. Interesting. It's an online baking and payments startup and invested $12 million of his own money into X.com. It was an early foray into online financial services at a time when paying for things on the internet was still a novel concept. Musk envisioned revolutionizing banking. Customers could send money via email in an era when writing checks and money orders was still the norm. Within its first month, X.com attracted over 200,000 users, one of the first online banks to be FDIC insured. However, Musk's penchant for bold moves soon led to friction. By late 2000, X.com merged with a competitor, Confinity, co-founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin. Confinity had a popular money transfer service known as, ding ding ding, PayPal, and the merged company initially kept Musk as the CEO. But a dispute erupted over technical directions. Musk insisted on migrating PayPal's Unix-based infrastructure to a Microsoft Windows platform, a decision staunchly opposed by the co-founder Thiel. The conflict proved fateful. While Elon and his then-wife Justine took a rare vacation to Australia, PayPal's board fired Musk as CEO and appointed Peter Thiel in his place. It was a harsh lesson in office politics and perhaps an early sign of Musk's polarizing management style. Yet, Musk remained PayPal's largest shareholder, and when eBay acquired PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion in stock, he received a $175.8 million payout. Not one to dwell on defeat, Musk framed his ouster as freeing him up to pursue even more audacious goals. And years later, he would nonchalantly note that being fired from PayPal ultimately gave him time to think bigger. By the time he turned 30, Elon Musk had founded and sold 2 companies, survived boardroom shutdowns, and amassed a personal fortune. But the best, or the craziest in the eyes of some observers, was yet to come. Toward the final frontier of space. In 2002, armed with $100 million of his own capital and a sci-fi reader's grandiosity, Elon Musk founded SpaceX, or Space Exploration Technologies Corporation. The goal was as improbable as it was bold: to make rockets reusable and space travel dramatically cheaper, ultimately enabling human colonization on Mars. Musk's interests in space had accelerated after leaving PayPal. He joined the nonprofit Mars Society and initially tried to fund a mission to send plants to Mars as a public relations stunt. Famously, when Russian rocket makers offered to sell him repurposed ICBMs at an exorbitant price, even on one occasion allegedly spitting on Musk's shoes during a negotiation, he walked away convinced that he could build the rockets himself for a fraction of the cost. It was a classic Musk moment. Confronted with an obstacle, he chose the most direct and daring workaround. Why buy a rocket when you can start a rocket company? So SpaceX set up shop in a warehouse in El Segundo, California, and Musk installed himself as the CEO and chief engineer, a title underscoring his hands-on approach despite having no formal aerospace training. Early employees of SpaceX recall Musk as intensely driven and involved in every detail, from designing engine valves to negotiating launch contracts. The company's first rocket, the Falcon 1, named after the Millennium Falcon of Star Wars fame, was a two-stage launcher intended to prove SpaceX's basic capabilities, but it wasn't easy going. From 2006 to 2008, three consecutive Falcon 1 test launches failed to reach orbit. One rocket fell into the ocean shortly after liftoff, another blew up due to a fuel leak. And by the summer of 2008, after a third failure, SpaceX was on the brink of financial collapse. And Musk later admitted that he faced an anguished choice. If the next launch didn't work out, he'd have to shutter the company. Under immense pressure, the fourth Falcon 1 launch in September 2008 succeeded, reaching orbit and making SpaceX the first private firm to launch a liquid-fueled rocket into Earth orbit. Musk reportedly broke down in tears of relief. Salvation came not just from the technical triumph, but from NASA that very same year. NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to ferry cargo to the International Space Station with a bigger rocket, the Falcon 9, and a capsule called Dragon. It was the deal that guaranteed SpaceX's survival, vaulting the upstart company into the big leagues of aerospace. So, over the next decade, SpaceX would revolutionize the launch industry, albeit with Musk's trademark mix of breathtaking success and controversy. By 2012, SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft became the first commercial vehicle to dock with the International Space Station, a milestone in privatizing space travel. Musk's core innovation, reusable rockets, materialized in 2015 when a Falcon 9's first stage returned from space and landed vertically on a Florida launch pad. It looked like science fiction, but it was very much real. Reusability promised to slash launch costs by avoiding the waste of discarded rockets after one use. Subsequent landings used autonomous drone ships at sea, emblazoned with whimsical names like, "Of course I still love you." Okay, Elon. In 2018, SpaceX stunned the world by launching the Falcon Heavy, then the most powerful operational rocket, and Musk couldn't resist a bit of showmanship. The test payload was his personal cherry red Tesla Roadster electric car, complete with a dummy astronaut named Starman in the front seat, and it was sent hurtling towards the asteroid belt. Images of the spacesuit-clad mannequin against the backdrop of the Earth and space went viral, cementing Musk's reputation as the ultimate cross-promoter of his own ventures. Behind the spectacle, Musk's Mars obsession marched steadily forward. SpaceX began developing a colossal next-generation rocket called Starship, a fully reusable system designed to carry heavy payloads and eventually people to the moon and Mars. Can we just take care of Earth? Can we just protect Earth and do things that make sure we can live and thrive here instead of go ruin another planet? Can we just maybe do that? That would be my personal preference as someone who lives on planet Earth and doesn't really need to go visit the moon and Mars. Maybe I'm alone on that. I don't know, but global warming is real. Just because we destroy one planet doesn't make us entitled to another, but I digress. So, Aaron, let's just move on. Starship's prototypes, with very fanciful code names like Starhopper, so original. These underwent high-altitude tests that often ended in spectacular explosions, to Musk's evident glee. Exciting test outcome became his euphemism on Twitter for "it blew up." By 2023, SpaceX carried out the first full-stack launch of Starship. It cleared the launch tower, but exploded minutes into flight. Still a partial success in Musk's view, as it did gather valuable data. NASA, betting on Musk's bold approach, selected Starship to serve as the moon lander for the astronauts under the Artemis program, a contract worth billions and a major boost to SpaceX's credibility. And today, SpaceX dominates the commercial launch market, hitting a cadence of launches previously unheard of. Its Starlink project, a constellation of thousands of small satellites beaming internet service, further showcases Musk's ability to marry ambition with business opportunity. Since 2019, SpaceX has deployed thousands of Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit, and the service has been a lifeline in unexpected places. During Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, Musk sent Starlink terminals to restore internet for war torn areas. However, even this humanitarian gesture courted controversy. Musk refused to censor Russian state media on Starlink and later in 2023 declined a Ukrainian request to enable Starlink for a drone attack on the Russian Navy, fearing it could trigger a nuclear escalation. Such incidents demonstrated in the geopolitical influence Musk now wielded via his private space infrastructure and influence that sometimes unnerved governments. Indeed, by this year, SpaceX was so integral to American space efforts that Musk, once a scrappy outsider, was now rubbing shoulders with Air Force generals and politicians about the future of space. However, Musk's space venture hasn't been free from drama on the ground either. He sparred with the FAA over launch licenses, has been sued by environmental groups concerned about rocket debris and fuel, and drew worker complaints at SpaceX over his mercurial leadership. A group of SpaceX employees who wrote an open letter in 2022 criticizing Musk's tweets as a frequent source of distraction and embarrassment were promptly fired, underscoring the risks of dissent under his rule. Still, Musk's admirers point to SpaceX's achievements, cutting launch costs, restoring American capacity to send astronauts into orbit, which is something NASA actually lost after 2011, until SpaceX's Crew Dragon flew astronauts in 2020. And it inspired a new generation to dream about space. And for some, it seems nothing short of revolutionary. By challenging an entrenched industry, launching rockets had long been dominated by government contractors. Musk had proved that a Silicon Valley ethos could shake up aerospace. So, in classic form, he set seemingly impossible timelines. We'll land humans on Mars by 2025, he says. So obviously he often misses these milestones, but in the process did leapfrog competitors and drag the industry forward. As the Wall Street Journal once quipped, Elon Musk's timeline predictions should be taken with a Mars-sized grain of salt, but betting against SpaceX has left many people eating humble pie. And now, of course, we cannot talk about Elon Musky Musk without bringing up Tesla. And something that is a big misconception about Tesla is that it was Elon's brainchild. No. Tesla Motors was founded in 2003 by engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who had a prototype electric sports car in development. Musk joined the company in early 2004 as the lead investor, contributing $6.35 million in a Series A financing round and became chairman of the board. So from the start, Musk positioned himself not just as a financier, but as a hands-on leader in Tesla's product design. He worked closely on what would become the Tesla Roadster, the company's very first car, a sleek two-seater built on a modified Lotus chassis and powered by thousands of lithium-ion batteries, the same type of batteries that run laptops. That's crazy. The Roadster, first delivered in 2008, could go over 200 miles on a charge and hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds. It smashed the era's stereotypes about EVs being slow, short range, and unsightly. As Musk later put it, Tesla's initial master plan was simple: build a sports car, use that money to build an affordable car, and then while doing the above, provide zero-emission electric power. The Roadster checked step 1, but executing steps 2 and 3 would test Musk's resolve in ways he didn't yet imagine. By 2007, cracks were forming in Tesla's leadership. Musk and CEO Martin Eberhard clashed as costs for the Roadster program blew past the estimates and production was delayed. Amid rising tensions and the financial crisis of 2008, Tesla's board ousted Eberhard. So Musk would then assume the CEO role in 2008. He literally pushed the creator out. This was literally just as Tesla and the entire world economy was in dire straits. And he later would say that 2008 was the worst year of my life. SpaceX's rockets were still failing, Tesla was bleeding cash on the delayed Roadster, and Musk himself had recently gone through a divorce. He reportedly poured his remaining personal fortune into Tesla to keep it alive, at one point borrowing money to pay his own rent. And then salvation finally arrived for Tesla. In early 2009, Daimler agreed to invest $50 million for a 10% stake because they were impressed by Tesla's battery technology. And the U.S. Department of Energy approved a $465 million loan to the company as part of a program to spur clean vehicles. Oh, weird. He benefited from a government program? Did he get like a grant, like a federal grant or a federal loan? Whoa. So weird, right? Like so weird that someone who benefited from a government program is now trying to slash and burn them all. Weird. So these lifelines literally kept Tesla afloat. By mid-2009, Musk had negotiated a settlement with Eberhard, who later disparaged Musk's conduct but dropped a lawsuit in exchange for being formally named a Tesla co-founder. The table was set for Tesla's next chapter, but not before one more near-death experience. In June 2010, Tesla launched an IPO, the first by an American car maker in over 50 years, and they raised around $226 million. Skeptics abounded, noting that Tesla had never posted a profit and was essentially a boutique car seller. Musk's grand plan was a rollout of mainstream models: the Model S, a luxury sedan, Model X, a crossover SUV, and eventually Model 3, aimed at the mass market. The Model S was unveiled in 2012 and became Tesla's make or break moment. And thankfully for Musk, it was a smash hit with reviewers. The Model S won Motor Trend's 2013 Car of the Year. It was the first electric car to do this, and it absolutely wowed consumers with its stylish design, quick acceleration, and high-tech touchscreen interface. Under the hood, or rather the floorboards, it carried thousands of batteries, giving it an EPA-rated range of over 250 miles, far beyond any competitors at the time. And sales grew steadily. Tesla followed that up with the Model X in 2015, an SUV with showy falcon wing doors. However, the X's launch was marred by delays and cost overruns, reinforcing Musk's reputation for promising big but delivering late. It wasn't until 2017 that Tesla truly began its assault on the mass market with the Model 3, a more affordable sedan starting around $35,000. And demand for the Model 3 was off the charts. Roughly 500,000 people placed $1,000 reservations before a single car was delivered. What followed was what Musk famously dubbed production hell. Tesla struggled to ramp up its factory output, initially building Model 3s in a makeshift assembly line under a tent in the Fremont factory parking lot. Musk was literally sleeping on a couch or the factory floor, pulling all-nighters to fix automation bottlenecks. It took until mid-2018 for Tesla to reach its target production rate of 5,000 Model 3s per week. The ordeal pushed the company to the brink. Musk later admitted Tesla was single-digit weeks away from bankruptcy during the Model 3 ramp. But by 2019, the gamble paid off. Model 3 became the world's best-selling electric car, and Tesla posted back-to-back quarterly profits for the first time. Tesla's rise has not only made Musk absurdly wealthy. I mean, by 2021, Tesla's soaring stock price would crown him the world's richest person. It also undeniably accelerated the auto industry's shift towards electric vehicles. When traditional giants like GM and Volkswagen saw consumers clamoring for Teslas, they hurried to announce their own EV plans. Musk often says Tesla's true competition is not other electric cars, but the millions of gasoline cars still sold each year. In that sense, he welcomes automakers launching EVs as it advances Tesla's core mission of sustainable transport. Still, he doesn't shy from trash-talking rivals. He's mocked Ford's electric efforts as meh and derided hydrogen fuel cell cars touted by Toyota and others as fool cells. Under Musk's leadership, Tesla also expanded into energy storage and solar power. In 2016, Tesla acquired Solar City, a solar panel installer founded by Musk's cousins Lyndon and Pete Rive in a $2 billion all-stock deal. The merger, which folded Solar City into a new Tesla energy division, was highly controversial. Many investors and later a shareholder lawsuit alleged that it was essentially a bailout of a troubled firm that Musk happened to own a stake in. In 2022, a Delaware court ruled in Musk's favor, finding that Tesla's acquisition of Solar City was fair, but the episode did leave a sour taste for some. For all of Musk's success with Tesla, his journey with the company has been punctuated by high-profile missteps and clashes with regulators. Perhaps the most notorious was his August 2018 tweet proclaiming, "I'm considering taking Tesla private at 420, funding secured." The announcement implying that he had investors ready to buy out Tesla at a premium price caused Tesla's stock to jump. But it soon became evident that Musk had not actually secured such funding beyond preliminary talks. The tweet landed him in hot water with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, which sued him for securities fraud, calling the statement false and misleading. Musk settled the case by paying a $20 million fine, and Tesla paid another $20 million. And this made him actually have to agree to step down as Tesla's chairman for at least 3 years. He was allowed to remain CEO, but the settlement required that Tesla's lawyers pre-approve any potentially market-moving tweets, a stipulation that Musk has chafed against ever since. In classic Musk fashion, he soon publicly mocked the SEC as the Short Seller Enrichment Commission, taunting the very agency that could have barred him from the industry itself. Regulators have periodically dragged Musk back into court for allegedly violating the agreement by tweeting unvetted information, for example, about Tesla's production numbers and stock price. But so far, Musk has largely gotten his way. In February 2023, a jury even found in Musk's favor in a shareholder class action lawsuit related to the take private tweet, concluding that investors hadn't been defrauded. Tesla's forward march continues, but not without challenges. The company now produces 4 main models: the Model S, X, E, and Y. Musk was delighted that the lineup unintentionally spelled sexy. Oh my gosh, Elon, you're so dirty. Elon. Ooh, wow. It was unintentional. It was unintentional, babe. Okay. Okay. Is it also unintentional that you're obsessed with the letter X? Because you really gotta see someone about it, bud. By late 2021, Tesla achieved $1 trillion market capitalization, joining the most valuable companies on Earth. Yet, being the industry leader means intense scrutiny. Tesla's autopilot and full self-driving, or FSD, driver assistance features, which Musk touts as life-saving and safer than a human, when used properly, have been implicated in a number of crashes, some even being fatal. U.S. safety regulators opened multiple investigations into whether autopilot has defects, and the Department of Justice has probed whether Tesla exaggerated the capabilities of its self-driving software. In one high-profile incident, Musk tweeted boldly that no Tesla with FSD beta had ever been involved in an accident, and regulators promptly pointed out that they had reports of several crashes with the FSD engaged. How do people lie like this and not feel absolutely terrible guilty? I don't understand. Critics argue that Musk's habit of overpromising and pushing beta software to consumers has created undue risk. Musk counters that Tesla's tech is reducing accidents overall and that skeptics are holding Tesla to a higher standard than human drivers who, after all, kill over 1 million people worldwide in each year in accidents. It might be because you said that the autopilot was safer than humans, so maybe that's why we're holding it to a human standard. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just a girl on YouTube. But what? This tension between Musk's move fast and break things tech approach and the cautious safety first ethos of regulators is, needless to say, an ongoing drama. Labor relations at Tesla have likewise been fraught. Musk has been openly hostile to unionization. When the United Auto Workers tried to organize Tesla's Fremont factory, Musk and his team fought back hard. In 2018, Musk tweeted that employees didn't need a union because they already had good pay and benefits, adding, "Why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing?" That tweet was later deemed an illegal anti-union threat by the National Labor Relations Board, which ordered Musk to delete it. And he hasn't. People need to stay off of Twitter. Stop tweeting things. Everybody, especially if they're lies, okay? Does no one learn a lesson? This is why I'm not on Twitter. I just can't. I will say the things I don't want to say. Tesla has also faced lawsuits alleging racial discrimination at the Fremont plant, with Black workers reporting pervasive harassment. California's civil rights agency sued Tesla in 2022 after finding widespread bias. Musk, of course, dismissed the suit as misguided and insists that Tesla opposes discrimination. The company's fast growth has undoubtedly come with growing pains in workplace culture. Musk demands intense dedication. During crunch times, he has been known to send emails at 1 a.m. and fire off weekend ultimatums. In one widely reported 2018 internal email, Musk said that he would be reviewing every 10th line of coding and insisted on cutting any cost, no matter how small, that wasn't justified. He has praised hardcore work and warned employees that achieving Tesla's world-changing goals requires pain tolerance. Some employees thrive under his vision, but others burn out or clash with his erratic style. One former executive even said, "Elon basically is a Tesla." It's kind of this double-edged sword because it means the company soars or stumbles often on the strength of Musk's decision alone. And indeed, Tesla's own filings long acknowledged a key risk that the company is highly dependent on the services of Elon Musk, and success might be hard to sustain without him. But I mean, I think at this point, Tesla basically represents Elon, and it would probably be best for the company if he just bowed out, just GTFO, get out of there, please go. Because I will not buy a Tesla. It used to be my dream car, but no more. Nada. We are now going to talk about the Neuralink. The Neuralink, and I have somewhat of maybe it's a controversial opinion on the Neuralink, but I am anti-Neuralink. I think it's dangerous to allow anyone to have control of your mind, your thoughts, your brain, your actions. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. My fear is that it'll be like some Matrix stuff where it's like every child born in America is required to get this Neuralink implanted so that we're more easily controlled. It's like creating human robots. I don't know. Maybe I know I'm an anxious person, but that's just what I think about when I think of the Neuralink. I know there are, or Elon will say there are positive intentions behind it. I don't buy it. Sorry. I think you want to control people, Elon. Seems like it. You're buddying up to Trump. Seems like you just want to control people. So, what is the Neuralink? It's a neurotechnology startup aiming to connect human brains directly to computers. And it totally sounds like science fiction. It sounds not even real because it kind of still is. But Musk has a knack for turning sci-fi ideas into serious engineering projects, and I am afraid for humanity. Neuralink's core product under development is a brain implant, which is a chip with ultrafine wires that can be threaded into the brain to read and stimulate neural activity. The ultimate goal, according to Musk, is to create a symbiosis with AI. Okay. He says he worries that artificial intelligence could one day surpass human intelligence, so the best way for humans to not be left behind is to augment our own brains with computing power. No, thank you. I don't need your musty little hands and fingers in my brain, Musk. In more practical terms, Neuralink's technology could help people with paralysis or neurological disorders control devices or regain some motor or sensory function. And it really is the stuff of cyberpunk dreams, or honestly, for me, dystopian fears. But if it can benefit someone who might be paralyzed, then I'm inclined to be like, yes, let's help them. But I just feel like the risk is not worth the reward. And Musk has backed over $100 million of his own money invested in it. And Neuralink has assembled a crack team of neuroscientists and engineers. By 2019, the company unveiled a prototype that they had implanted in pigs, showing real-time neural signals on a screen. In 2021, Neuralink released a video of a monkey playing the video game Pong purely via a brain implant. The monkey moved the paddle by thinking. A Neuralink chip was translating its neural signals into game controls. And I hate that we're testing on animals. That poor little monkey. So Musk was hyping up that the device could eventually help restore movement to people with spinal injuries and even save or replay memories or telepathically summon your Tesla. But Neuralink has also faced significant challenges, not least of which are regulatory. It wasn't until 2023 that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration gave Neuralink approval to begin initial human trials. Musk had repeatedly and over-optimistically predicted that human trials were within a year as early as 2019. So by the time approval came, some experts wondered if Neuralink had rushed its animal testing phase to satisfy Musk's timeline. Indeed, Neuralink's animal testing practices also became a point of controversy. Internal reports and employee whistleblowers alleged that Musk's intense pressure to speed up development contributed to botched experiments and unnecessary animal deaths. In one instance, several pigs reportedly died due to surgical complications with outdated equipment. By late 2022, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Inspector General, at the request of a federal prosecutor, was investigating Neuralink for potential animal welfare violations. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine filed formal complaints saying Neuralink's test monkeys had suffered infections, paralysis, or internal bleeding. And of course, Musk defended Neuralink, saying that at a high level, their animal testing was comparable to others in the field and that he cares deeply about animal well-being. But the clash highlights a familiar Musk theme. His impatience to get results can run up against ethical and regulatory boundaries. And just as he is chafed at FAA rules or SEC oversight, Musk has expressed frustrations with the FDA's slow pace. In early 2022, when the FDA hadn't yet approved human trials, Musk publicly stated Neuralink's papers were in order and suggested the agency was overcautious. So now, with approval in hand, Neuralink plans a 6-year trial with a small number of patients to test the safety of the implant. It's really weird how all of these regulatory bodies are going up against Elon, and now Elon has created a program that essentially gets rid of regulatory bodies. It's like the game is rigged at this point. Weird. Weird. So it's a long road from here to Musk's transhumanist vision of brain computer integration for the masses. But if Neuralink does succeed, it could inaugurate an era where disabilities are treated with hardware upgrades and human cognition can merge with AI. But I fear with what's going on now, the intention is far more insidious. As usual, Musk's timelines for these breakthroughs, he mused in 2020 that the Neuralink could solve many brain injuries in a few years, should be taken with skepticism. Neuroscience is a magnitude more complex than building a rocket or building cars. But still, Neuralink exemplifies Musk's knack for turning wild ideas into companies. But I just really hope he fails with this one. I think there are better options to support people who might need cognitive help. I really do. Because I do not, my heart of hearts does not believe that that's the true intention. I don't believe the true intention is to help people. I believe the true intention is to control people. So this is something new that I did not know existed, called the Boring Company. Even as Musk launched companies into space and into our brains, he also decided to go literally underground. In late 2016, after complaining on Twitter about being stuck in Los Angeles traffic, Musk declared, "I'm going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." And many followers chuckled at what seems like another off the cuff joke. But by early 2017, Musk had indeed founded the Boring Company, with a tongue-in-cheek mission to solve traffic by creating an underground network for high-speed transportation. The premise was that tunneling technology could be made faster and cheaper, enabling cities to add layers of subterranean roads or vacuum-sealed hyperloop tubes. Musk envisioned cars zipping through tunnels on electric sleds at up to 150 miles per hour, bypassing surface congestion. And at the cost of our planet, though. At the cost of our planet. What about like just public transportation, something that Americans have like literally been begging for? What about that? What about that? No, we got to put more cars on the road and underground and just further destroy the planet. We should definitely do that. I'm exhausted. Lots of rants on this one. Sorry. Can you tell I'm a little bit of an environmentalist? I do love our planet. Anyways, jumping back in. Boring Company's early days were obviously very experimental. Musk began digging a trial test trench on SpaceX Hawthorne campus. No permits needed because it was private property. So you go, Elon. By late 2018, the company had completed a 1.14-mile test tunnel beneath Hawthorne and invited journalists to see a Tesla ride through it. And the demo, frankly, underwhelmed. The modified Tesla, fitted with side stabilizer wheels, drove only at around 40 miles per hour, and the ride was bumpy. It was more like a Disney ride than a revolution in urban transit. And Musk admitted that it was a little rough around the edges, but promised to improve the speed and the smoothness. Meanwhile, he managed to stir excitement and funds with quirky other side hustles. In late 2017, the Boring Company sold 50,000 baseball caps with its logo. Then in early 2018, Musk hawked a $500, not a flamethrower, a protein torch gun styled like a flamethrower, and sold 20,000 of them almost overnight. Yeah. Cool. This is how the guy's a multi-billionaire. Trillionaire? Billionaire. As for actual tunneling projects, the Boring Company's track record has been mixed. Musk announced grand plans in 2018 for a high-speed Chicago airport link and a West LA tunnel, but those were eventually canceled amid local bureaucracy and skepticism. The company's most tangible achievement to date is the Los Angeles Convention Center Loop, which is a 1.7-mile tunnel system that was completed in 2021. In this setup, Tesla vehicles that are driven by humans transport passengers at about 35 to 40 miles per hour between stations under the vast convention center. Effectively, a Tesla-powered subway, albeit far slower and lower capacity than just traditional public transportation. What are we doing? However, Vegas officials were pleased enough to approve an expansion of the Vegas Loop citywide, aiming for 29 miles of tunnels connecting dozens of resorts and the airport in the future. As of 2025, a few of those additional tunnel segments downtown are in operation, but with very limited service. And reactions are split. Supporters say that it's a pragmatic start that can be scaled up with self-driving Teslas to move thousands of people per hour. Detractors call it just a flashy but low thought-through solution that's inferior to proven ideas like mass transit trains or real subways. And finally, we are at the point in the video where we talk about the Twitter takeover. And I just want to say this is my hot take. Elon has all these issues with regulatory bodies. He sees an opportunity to control the narrative. He sees that everybody is on social media. He decides that if he's able to purchase a social media company, he will be able to then control the narrative, turn people against these regulatory bodies, and then buddy up to Donald Trump, get on board that train, and then just drill his holes in the earth and do the tunnels to just world domination. He's Dr. Evil. It feels to me like he's a smart man, but those are the most dangerous sometimes because he's not using his intellect, in my opinion, for the betterment of humanity. I believe that he knew if he was able to control information, which is a cultic tactic, and control leadership by donating to people who are trying to become elected officials, donate to those campaigns, and then he can kind of be the puppet and try to get rid of all these regulatory bodies and control where government money goes to so that his endeavors are approved over other endeavors. But maybe that's just me. So, as we all know, in 2022, Elon Musk set his sights on the social media platform beloved and reviled by journalists, politicians, and meme aficionados alike, Twitter. What began as Musk musing aloud about Twitter's policies ended as one of the most dramatic corporate takeovers in tech history. Musk had been one of Twitter's most prominent users, amassing over 100 million followers with his mix of tech announcements, dank memes, and trollish provocations. By early 2022, he started loudly questioning whether Twitter was protecting free speech or stifling it, given its policies on moderating content, aka moderating hate speech. In March, Musk quietly began buying Twitter stock. By April 2022, he had accumulated a 9.2% stake, making him the single largest shareholder. Twitter's board hastily offered him a seat, which Musk accepted and then almost immediately declined when he decided instead that he may as well buy the whole company. In April 2022, Musk announced an unsolicited bid to purchase Twitter outright for $44 billion. Twitter's board, after initially adopting a poison pill to thwart a hostile takeover, eventually agreed to the deal, perhaps realizing that no white knight bidders were forthcoming at that high price. Musk framed the move as rescuing Twitter as the de facto public town square and vowed to unlock its potential by championing free expression. However, almost as soon as the deal was signed, Musk got cold feet. In May, he declared the acquisition on hold, alleged that Twitter had more fake accounts and spam accounts than it disclosed. Many observers saw this as an attempt to renegotiate or ditch the deal, especially as tech stock valuations were plummeting, making his agreed upon price look very steep. And a corporate soap opera ensued. Twitter sued Musk in Delaware Chancery Court to force him to honor the agreement, and by October 2022, with a trial looming that Musk seemed likely to lose, he capitulated and closed the acquisition on the original terms. On October 27, 2022, Elon Musk became the new owner of Twitter, tweeting, "The bird is free." And what followed was a whirlwind of change and chaos at the Bluebird company. Musk immediately fired Twitter's CEO, Parag Agrawal, and top executives, showing them the door, like literally having security escort them out. He dissolved the board and declared himself the sole director and later CEO. And Musk, who had famously once tweeted, "I hate managing and I rather hate being a boss," was now in charge of a 7,500 employee social media firm that he believed was bloated and inefficient. In his first weeks, he slashed the workforce by about half, sending mass layoff notices. Entire teams, communications, ethical AI, human rights, and many engineering groups were gutted. Weird. The ethical teams, the human rights teams were all gutted. Sounds like somebody has a secret agenda. Offices were closed, perks were eliminated, and Musk ended Twitter's remote work policy with a terse ultimatum that he emailed at 2:30 a.m., mind you, telling the staff to return to the office or resign. This brash approach shattered morale for many, but Musk insisted it was necessary as Twitter was losing money. Plot twist, though, he had loaded the company with debt to finance the deal that he made. And he needed a cultural reset toward hardcore engineering within the company. And on the product side, Musk moved just as fast, if somewhat recklessly. He launched and later revised a new Twitter Blue subscription for $8 a month that, among other features, bestowed the once coveted blue verification checkmark to any subscriber. The original verification system was meant to authenticate notable individuals, but Musk derided it as a lords and peasants system, okay? Opening the blue check to paying users quickly led to an explosion of impersonation, as pranksters bought check marks for fake accounts posing as companies and celebrities. In one notorious case, a fake Eli Lilly account with a purchased blue check tweeted, "Insulin is free," causing the real company's stock to drop and forcing an apology. Musk had to suspend the feature and relaunch it with tweaks, different color check marks for different businesses and government, for instance. And meanwhile, Musk proclaimed that content moderation on the platform would be relaxed. He felt that Twitter's prior management overstepped in banning certain accounts, like Donald Trump, who was barred after the January 6th Capitol riot. Yeah, how dare they? How dare they silence an insurrectionist, an R-worder, and literal felon? How dare they? The world was so much better when Donald Trump was banned from Twitter. Those were the golden ages. I mean, I don't want children, but like, I'll tell my niece's kids one day, back in my day, the worst man on the history of the planet was banned from Twitter, and those were the best years of my life. But now under Musk, Twitter reinstated many previously banned or suspended users, including Trump, Kanye West, and various controversial figures. He also severely reduced the enforcement of rules against misinformation and hate speech. A lot can happen in a couple years, can't it? Misinformation is an epidemic. Initially, Musk reportedly disbanded Twitter's Trust and Safety Council, and the result was swift. Researchers documented spikes in hate speech on Twitter shortly after Musk's takeover. Musk disputed some of those findings, but did proudly declare an amnesty for accounts that hadn't broken the law. Critics accused him of allowing toxic harassment and racism to spread more freely. By late 2022, major advertisers who provide the bulk of Twitter's revenue were pausing spending, uneasy with the platform's direction and Musk's erratic tweets. At one point, he repeatedly tweeted a conspiracy theory about a violent attack on U.S. Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband and then deleted it. Musk's management of Twitter often played out in public, fittingly enough, on Twitter. Perhaps the most emblematic episode came in December 2022 when the @ElonJet saga peaked. A college student had been running the ElonJet account using public air traffic data to track Musk's private jet flights. Musk had long tried to get him to shut it down, citing personal safety. After saying in November that his commitment to free speech extended to tolerating ElonJet, he abruptly changed course mid-December after a stalking incident he alleged was linked to the live location tracking. Musk suspended ElonJet and then also suspended several prominent journalists who had reported on the episode, even though the journalists hadn't posted his real-time location. He accused them of doxing or sharing private information, and this to him, justified the bans under a hastily implemented new rule. So, this move drew condemnation from news organizations and even the United Nations and EU officials who warned Musk that press freedom was not to be trifled with. Facing pressure, Musk ran a Twitter poll asking if he should reinstate the journalists, and the majority voted yes, and he did restore most accounts after about a day. But the incident also kind of illustrated Musk's often ad hoc policymaking. Rules and enforcement decisions that were driven by his whims or personal grievances more than consistent principles. Sounds like he's a little too emotional to be running a company. You know what I mean? He's just a little too emotional. He's making decisions based off of his feelings. I'm obviously being sarcastic. In another self-inflicted twist, Musk polled Twitter users in late December 2022 asking if he should step down as CEO, and 57.5% of the millions voting said yes. And Musk initially waffled on whether he'd honor the poll, but eventually in June, he did appoint a new CEO, Linda Yaccarino, a former NBC Universal advertising executive. Musk said that he would transition to executive chairman and CTO, focusing on product and technology. In practice, even with a new CEO, Musk remains the ultimate decision maker. Employees know that X, as the company was rebranded, is very much Elon's show. Oh, yes. Yes, the rebranding. I didn't even talk about that one. In July 2023, Musk abruptly ditched Twitter's globally recognized bird logo and name in favor of X. I mean, this guy just loves the letter X. He is obsessed with it. From X.com to naming one of his children XAEA12. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but his kid is called X. Musk's vision was to turn Twitter into X, the everything app, a sort of Western WeChat that handles messaging, payments, shopping, and more. And the rebrand was met with a mix of enthusiasm from Musk's fans and bewilderment from branding experts who questioned tossing away a household name. But Musk was adamant that Twitter, as a concept of 280-character microblogging, was just the starting point, and that X would encompass much more. As of 2025, that vision hasn't completely come to fruition. I mean, X has rolled out some new features like long-form posts and expanded video, and Musk talks up plans for peer-to-peer payments on the platform, but usage and ad revenue have reportedly declined sharply from Twitter's heyday. Elon's push for maximalist free speech ran into the reality that what one person calls free speech, another calls abuse or misinformation. He's had to contend with regulators worldwide. The EU actually threatened fines under its Digital Services Act if X doesn't control illegal content. And the court of public opinion in a space where controversies swirl daily. It's also brought Musk's own behavior under a microscope like never before. Every contentious tweet, and there have been many, from engaging with anti-vax activists to mocking gender pronouns, now carry the weight of coming from the owner of the platform. In effect, Musk's personal brand and X's brand are one, for better or worse. Some former Twitter users fled to alternative platforms like Mastodon, Blue Sky, or even Meta's Threads, complaining that X had become too chaotic and hateful. Now, it's really impossible to profile Elon Musk without diving into the many controversies and criticisms that seem to orbit him. Musk often jokes that he's a polarizing figure, and people tend to see him as either a visionary genius or some combination of charlatan and supervillain. Over the years, his actions and statements have sparked legal battles, public outrage, hero worship, and everything in between. So we're going to round up some of the most notable missteps in contentious episodes. Apart from the whole Twitter funding fiasco, we also have the pedo guy defamation case. In mid-2018, when a youth soccer team was trapped in a cave in Thailand, Musk decided to get involved by building a mini submarine to assist. When a British cave rescuer, Vernon Unsworth, dismissed Musk's mini sub as a PR stunt, Musk lashed out on Twitter, calling Unsworth sus and a pedo guy. The baseless slur caused an absolute uproar. Musk deleted the tweets and apologized, but Unsworth sued him for defamation. In a 2019 trial, Musk testified that this was a common insult in South Africa, equivalent to meaning creepy old man, and that he didn't intend it literally. And unfortunately, because human beings are so obsessed with billionaires, the jury sided with Musk, finding the tweet was an opinion, not a statement of fact. And Musk won the case. But this whole situation showed Musk's staunch supporters that Musk's skin is actually pretty thin. It also solidified the notion that Musk can and will attack individuals who cross him, sometimes in shockingly personal terms. Now, Musk's companies have frequently been criticized for demanding work environments. At Tesla, stories of long hours, high injury rates, and intense pressure are very common. In 2017, Tesla fired a union activist at its factory, and the UAW accused Musk of union busting. The aforementioned tweet about stock options and union dues was ruled illegal by the NLRB, and in 2021, a jury awarded a former black Tesla worker $137 million, although unfortunately it was later reduced, for racist abuse that he suffered at the Fremont factory. And Musk's response to such issues often falls flat. He once emailed workers that there's no excuse for harassment, but also that the person reporting it might be a jerk who is provoking others. SpaceX has had its share of incidents too. In 2022, after some SpaceX employees circulated an open letter internally criticizing Musk's behavior, SpaceX promptly fired several of them, leading to an NLRB complaint. Musk's defenders argue that he is simply has extremely high standards and a direct style, and that the mission-oriented culture at his companies attract people who want to work hard. But others, like yours truly, see a pattern where Musk's cult of personality suppresses dissent and where extreme workload expectations cause burnout. As one former Tesla engineer put it, working for Elon is like training for a marathon that never ends. Exhilarating, but ultimately exhausting. Now, it drives me crazy when anyone shares misinformation, but when you have so much influence, can you just talk about tech stuff or your companies and not stuff that impacts billions of people? Because at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Musk courted controversy by downplaying the virus because of course he wanted people to come in and work. In March 2020, he infamously tweeted that coronavirus panic was dumb, and he predicted that cases would be near zero by April. He touted unproven treatments and later amplified doubt about vaccine safety. In May 2020, Musk defied local public health orders by reopening Tesla's California factory earlier than allowed, daring authorities to arrest him, and unfortunately, they didn't. Musk also railed against lockdowns, calling them this is just so ironic, calling them fascist in an earnings call with his company. His stance endeared him to COVID skeptics and libertarians, but obviously drew sharp criticism from people experts in the field like epidemiologists and some Tesla customers who felt he was being reckless. But Musk's response to critiques was to highlight his factory's safety measures and to note that he personally got COVID and recovered quickly, and that Tesla made ventilators when needed. Just another example of how a personal anecdote is not proof at all, ever. That does not mean for that person will work for you. This is a clear example that Musk just distrusts anything he sees as government overreach. Basically, if the government won't let him do what he wants to do to make billions of dollars, he will do anything he can to tear the government down or voice his contrarian opinions on science, even at the cost of spreading misinformation and potentially killing hundreds, if not thousands of people. I'm not saying he did. I'm saying misinformation, even still, not even necessarily regarding COVID, but misinformation still kills people every year. Every year. And it is heartbreaking that there's no regulation about fact checking these issues. I miss the fact checks on social media. I miss those. Now, Elon Musk uses his massive social media platform to boost fringe voices and unfounded claims. He's shared memes and comments that have been criticized as sexist or transphobic, like mocking the use of pronouns, which prompted a rebuke from his then partner Grimes. In 2022 and 2023, he increasingly engaged with right-wing conspiracy theories online, from insinuating a victim of a violent attack was involved in a gay tryst gone wrong to interacting with QAnon-linked accounts. And Musk also insists that he opposes the woke mind virus and political correctness, positioning himself as a free thinker challenging mainstream narratives. Wokeness is just having empathy. Did you know that? Wokeness is just being aware that other people have different experiences than you and might need a little extra help. Wokeness is just understanding that people might have been born into a different set of circumstances and therefore might need additional support from a regulatory government body. Sorry, guys. Critics do say that he's irresponsibly fueling hate and lies, and I'm inclined to agree. Because, for instance, Musk repeatedly attacked the financier George Soros in 2023 with language that many, including the head of the Anti-Defamation League, condemned as echoing anti-Semitic tropes. And Musk responded by calling himself a pro-Semite and accused his critics of being the real racists. He also joked about the friends of Hitler in an argument about his alleged Nazi-like salute at the inauguration in a way that many found crass. Doing this just show that Musk's transformation from a relatively apolitical business figure to an online agitator gleefully diving into culture wars is a shift that is totally alienating and problematic and concerning. Like, what is wrong with you? Don't you have enough? Like, I just want to be like, don't you have enough? You have nothing better to do than sit on Twitter and be racist and defend Nazis? Don't you have billions of dollars you could literally go do anything with? If you're not going to solve the world's issues with your massive wealth and fortune, please get off the internet and stop trying to impact people. Like, do you not have enough? I guess money can't buy happiness because this man is utterly miserable. Now, for much of his early career, Elon Musk tried to stay above the partisan fray. He would work with Republicans and Democrats alike when it suited SpaceX or Tesla, and he would donate modestly to both. But this changed dramatically in the early 2020s as Musk became an increasingly outspoken figure on political and social issues, to the point that he's now a significant force in right-wing politics in both the US and abroad. This shift was so puzzling to those of us who remembered Musk as someone who championed climate action. I mean, I thought he was like the forefront of moving towards a better future and a better environment. I mean, he vocally supported Andrew Yang's UBI proposal and even Barack Obama's campaigns. But by 2022, Musk declared that he had moved away from the Democrats, complaining that the party had drifted far too left for his taste, and signaled this by casting a public vote for a Republican congressional candidate in Texas, and said that going forward, he was going to vote GOP. So, what drove the change? Well, as you can guess, partly business. Musk's clash with California's regulators, his opposition to Biden's union-friendly EV policies, and his resentment at not being invited to certain White House EV events where Biden favored unionized automakers all soured him on the Democratic establishment. Oh, they're so evil, wanting people to get paid for what they do at a fair wage and not be overworked. Oh my God, so terrible. Those Democrats are terrible. They're not perfect. Trust me. I don't like any politician, okay? Just throwing that out there. Everybody is corrupt. I get it, but lesser of two evils. But it was also cultural because Musk grew increasingly animated by anti-woke sentiment, aligning with conservatives on issues like transgender topics, immigration, and critiques of big government. By 2023, Musk was rubbing shoulders with Republican power players. He hosted Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on a Twitter Spaces to launch DeSantis' presidential campaign, an audio event that was actually glitchy, but symbolically potent. And he also signaled support for longshot RFK Jr., a Democrat running on an anti vax populist message. But most strikingly, after initially indicating a preference for DeSantis, Musk swung firmly behind Donald Trump once it was clear that Trump would be the GOP nominee for 2024. When an attempted assassination was made on Trump in July 2024, Musk immediately endorsed him for president. He donated heavily, and Musk became the largest individual donor of the 2024 US election cycle, giving tens of millions to Republican groups. And in the fall, he literally joined Trump on stage at a rally, fist bumping the former president and echoing his talking points about alleged election fraud and the dangers of regulation. Give me a break. It was a breathtaking turn for a man who once had been a presidential advisor in Obama's administration and had cut a relatively centrist figure. Now, Musk's politics aren't easily pigeonholed. He describes himself as moderate or half Democrat, half Republican on various issues, noting he's for things like a carbon tax, a left-ish idea, but also for gun rights and less red tape, right-ish idea. However, since 2022, his rhetoric and alliances have clearly trended rightward. Internationally, he's openly praised right populist parties. In 2023, he endorsed the far-right Alternative for Deutschland in Germany, tweeting favorably about its immigration stance. He tangled with leaders of France and Britain by accusing them of coddling migrants and fueling crime due to liberal policies. These interventions made Musk something like a roving geopolitical gadfly, one who nations can't ignore because of his clout in satellites and electric cars. The Guardian in 2023 ran a piece noting European officials' growing alarm at Musk's erratic involvement in their affairs. But nowhere did Musk's political influence manifest as starkly as the United States after Trump's victory. Trump had floated the idea during his campaign of tapping Musk to help drain the swamp. And indeed, in August 2024, Trump announced that if elected, he'd create a new entity, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. The cheeky acronym, which was also a nod to Musk's favorite meme cryptocurrency, Dogecoin. And of course, Musk would lead the charge. Many thought it was a campaign stunt, but come January 2025, Trump issued an executive order establishing DOGE and appointed Musk as a special government employee to head it. So suddenly, Musk had an official role in the US government. The mandate streamlined federal agencies, cut waste, propose eliminations of departments, and even plan mass layoffs of federal workers. Critics howled that an unelected tech mogul with libertarian leanings was now wielding power over public policy and jobs. Inside Washington, Musk's presence was polarizing. Some Trump-aligned officials welcomed him as a fresh pair of eyes, while many civil servants feared a nightmare of capricious cuts and Musk's rather opaque management style. At one point, Musk wielded a chainsaw on stage at the CPAC to dramatize cutting bureaucracy in an image that summed up both the serious and surreal nature of his governmental debut. The legal status of Musk's role was murky. The White House insisted that Musk was not a formal federal employee heading an agency, but merely an advisor. But Musk behaved like he was in charge. He would issue directives and clash with agency heads. And according to reps, even having security personnel at some departments answer to DOGE staff. A federal judge in early 2025 acknowledged that Musk was effectively the de facto leader of DOGE, and Musk gleefully announced plans like merging the Departments of Education and Labor, privatizing certain government services, and even deleting DOGE itself after it achieved its aims. He's just so great. He's sacrificing his own department. For Musk, it was an unprecedented experiment, applying his corporate philosophies to government. To his supporters, this was exactly what bloated Washington needed, a disruptor with no sacred cows cutting through the red tape. To his detractors, it was a rich man's power trip unmoored from accountability, risking critical programs in the name of ego. But regardless, the image of President Musk took hold in some media commentary. Half joking, as Musk's outsized role led some to say that Trump had outsourced domestic policy to him. One bizarre moment encapsulated how far Musk had journeyed into partisan territory. At Trump's second inauguration in 2025, Musk was on the dais and gave a salute like gesture that many interpreted as a variant of a Nazi salute.
Thank you.
It was a Heil. Let's all just call it what it is. It was a Heil. Nonetheless, the incident was an example of how deeply Musk had plunged into divisive political waters, something that was hard to imagine back in 2015 when he was known for launching rockets and making electric cars cool. And if you thought we were almost done, guys, we're not. Because Elon Musk's personal life has been a saga worthy of a soap opera, replete with multiple marriages, many children, and family drama. Musk has been married and divorced 3 times, fathered at least 10 known children with hints of more, and has navigated relationships under the unforgiving glare of fame. His first wife, Justine Wilson, met him in college in Canada and married him in 2000. They had 6 children together, including twins and triplets via IVF. Tragedy struck in 2002 when their firstborn son, Nevada, died of SIDS at 10 weeks old. Musk has rarely spoken publicly about that loss, but Justine has described how it put a pall over their young marriage. The Musk twins, Griffin and Vivian, were born in 2004, and the triplets, Kai, Saxon, and Damien, in 2006. However, Elon and Justine's relationship deteriorated. She later wrote that living with Musk's intensity and expectations was difficult. He pressured her to be a trophy wife, she claimed, and she felt more like an employee at times. So they divorced in 2008, with Justine famously insisting on a handsome settlement, including millions of dollars and a Tesla Roadster. In an unusual twist, years later, one of their twins, who had come out as transgender, legally changed her name to Vivian Jenna Wilson, dropping Musk's surname and citing a desire to distance herself from Musk. Musk has commented that his estranged daughter's decision might be due to a supposed brainwashing by neo-Marxists at her progressive school, trying to make an example of a personal rift that possibly was exacerbated by his political shift. Musk's second marriage was to Tallulah Riley, a British actress 14 years his junior. They married in 2010, divorced in 2012, and remarried in 2013, and then divorced again in 2016. It was an on-again, off-again saga that tabloids compared to a season of Dynasty. But Riley later spoke kindly of Elon, calling him a friend, and indeed she remained involved in his life, even reportedly living in one of his properties for a time after their final split, but just as a friend. Musk then had a very public fling with actress Amber Heard in 2017, which landed them in tabloids frequently. I mean, there were paparazzi photos of Musk with lipstick marks on his cheek at dinner with her, and even his cameo in her phone text during her court battle with Johnny Depp. That relation fizzled within a year, though it kept gossip columns very busy. In 2018, Musk began dating the musician Grimes. The pair's union was as unconventional as you'd expect. She's an avant-garde electronic artist, he the tech titan, and they bonded over a nerdy joke about AI. Grimes became a frequent presence by Musk's side, accompanying him to the 2018 Met Gala in a futuristic ensemble. In May 2020, Grimes gave birth to their son, famously named something I can't pronounce, X. The name, a mix of algebraic variables, X, Ash from Scandinavian mythology, and A12, a spy plane, absolutely baffled the internet and even California's Vital Records office, which made them change the symbol to AE. And Musk said that it's pronounced X-A12. X-A12? X-A12. Though the child is reportedly just nicknamed X, like everything else in Musk's life. In late 2021, via a surrogate, Musk and Grimes had a second child together, a daughter named Exa Dark Siderail, nicknamed Y. His children X and Y, and I'm sure the next one will be Z. By this time, the couple described themselves as semi-separated. In an interview, Grimes remarked that Musk was still her best friend, but their lives were often too hectic to maintain a conventional relationship. In 2022, a secret third child with Grimes was revealed, named Techno Mechanicus. Sorry. It's a child. Techno Mechanicus. I'm sorry. I thought the X name was gonna get me, but that one really got me. Oh man, sorry. I thought I was prepared to say that. It's also late, and I'm recording this, and then maybe I'm delusional and not fully here. But we're gonna keep it moving. Techno Mechanicus, aka Tao. By late 2023, Grimes and Musk were in a legal tussle over parenting arrangements, suggesting the amicability had probably frayed. And if that weren't complex enough, Musk also fathered twins with Siobhan Zillis, a Neuralink executive, in 2021. A fact that didn't become public until 2022 when court documents surfaced of Musk and Zillis petitioning to give the twins Musk's last name. This guy must be fertile AF. How is he having so many twins and triplets? This meant that Musk had two different sets of twins, but born within weeks of each other to different mothers. In 2023 and 2024, it's reported that Musk and Zillis had two more children, one via surrogate and one naturally. Although details are scant, if accurate, that would bring Musk's child count to at least 14. The Wall Street Journal even claimed sources say Musk's real number of offspring could be higher, and Musk leaned into this, calling himself a pro-natalist who believes people should have more kids to stave off a population collapse. No. He likes to say it's due to him doing his part to help the underpopulation crisis. Could it also be that misinformation about a massive worldwide pandemic, often shared via you, killed millions of people? Could it be that? And also that living costs are so high and no one wants to increase the minimum wage. So it's really difficult to survive even as just a single person. So nobody wants to have children because they literally can't afford it. And then you're going to go and bash people who by choice don't have children or even by circumstance don't have children. Okay. If Musk's family life is a labyrinth, his public persona is equally multifaceted. He's been described as everything from a real-life Tony Stark, and was even in Iron Man 2 in a very brief cameo, to a Bond villain in the making. Sounds more accurate to me. Early on, Musk was somewhat shy in his interviews. His South accent was much more noticeable, and a far cry from the bombastic figure he is today. Over time, he seemed to grow into the celebrity role, and he would host Saturday Night Live. On SNL, he showed a self-deprecating humor and even joked about his tweets. This lighter side helped humanize him, but Musk's edgy humor also lands him in trouble. For instance, he loves juvenile jokes like 420 and 69 references. And of course, these are always popping up in his tweets. It's like he's like the uncle at family dinner that makes the same joke to you every Thanksgiving, and you're just like, I have to laugh, otherwise you're going to keep telling me these awful jokes. So who is Elon Musk behind all the contradictions? It's a common observation that Musk is a complex individual, incredibly intelligent, driven by big ideas, but also short-tempered and immature. He's been open about certain struggles, mentioning he has Asperger's, and discussing occasional bouts of depression for which he says he's experimented with ketamine microdoses. He's a workaholic who claims to split his time between Tesla, SpaceX, and other ventures by basically working 90-plus hours a week. In personal anecdotes, friends say he can be warm and funny, but if you get him on a topic of interest, he'll monologue on for hours. And while Musk projects this ironclad confidence publicly, those close to him who have seen moments of vulnerability, he reportedly will break down into tears, admitting that the stress can be excruciating. He is 53 years old. He stands at the nexus of multiple industries: automotive, aerospace, telecommunications, social media, more, and each have profoundly changed by his influence. His supporters hail him as a once-in-a-lifetime innovator. the man who pushed electric vehicles into the mainstream, reignited humanity's space dreams, and upended conventional wisdom in fields from artificial intelligence to public infrastructure. But his critics view him as mercurial and egotistical, a figure whose blunt force approach courts unnecessary risk and controversy, and whose growing power raises uncomfortable questions about accountability in the billionaire age. And both views are true. Musk has demonstrated an uncanny ability to turn wild ideas into reality and a capacity to stir conflict and outrage along the way. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what industries you helped lift up. What matters to me is the impact you've had on people. To me, Elon Musk represents someone who is the epitome of performative humanitarianism. He uses these very important social issues that people care about to make money and get what he wants. And when those people who believe in climate change, who believe in lifting people up, who believe that he's trying to innovate, who believe that he's trying to save the planet, who believe in his vision for a better future for humanity, once he gets all their money, he just flips the script and turns on them and starts behaving in a way that is completely contrary to all of the people that have lifted him up. I mean, I remember when Donald Trump was anti-electric vehicles, and now all of a sudden, Elon Musk is his right-hand man. So one has to wonder, who really is Elon Musk? Does he even know who he is? At his core, is he just another white man trying to make money and gain power and control by any means necessary? Or is there a real human heart in there? From what I can tell, it's the former. But I'm very eager to hear your point of view. This is a great example of like two things being true at once. Someone can be incredibly brilliant genius and also tear down a society and feel evil at the same time. And it's heartbreaking, this like switch for people who are very environmentally aware and I remember being so excited about him and Tesla and like the innovations that could come from technology like this, and to see it being used or to see and hear the rhetoric that comes from his mouth, it's like utterly heartbreaking. And it's affecting marginalized people on a massive, massive scale. So thank you guys for being here. I think this is my longest video I've ever done in like one sitting. I've done like parts 1 and part 2. So if you like this format, please let me know. What's crazy is like we didn't even really scratch the surface on Elon. There's so much more that we could do. It's just like crazy. But thank you guys so much for all of your support on the channel. I really, really appreciate it. And let me know what you think below. Do a little like alien emoji down in the comments below if you watched to the end. And I will see you in my next video very, very soon. Thank you guys so much. Bye.